Welcome to Wilson Botanical Garden, located at the southern tip of Costa Rica near the border of Panama. The garden covers an area over 25 acres and is located in what is known as a cloud forest, getting over 160 inches of rain per year. Enjoying all this are scientists, botanists, biologists, bird watchers, and the general public. We're here to take a look at the collection of medicinal plants, which happen to be one of the specialties of the garden's director, Luis Diego Gomez. Well, this is a lovely part of the garden, Luis.
Yes, this is where I live and where I keep my medicinal plants.
Oh, well, I hope you'll show me some of the highlights.
Absolutely. The reason I keep them here is, of course, to keep an eye on them. And some of them are plants that should not be, could be abused or misused by people. Like this one from the Amazon. You probably heard about ayahuasca.
What happens when you take that?
You get visions.
Visions.
When the person ingests ayahuasca, usually with admixtures, not just the pure thing, which is harmaline, is the alkaloids.
Yes.
They see usually their totem, animal or plant. And of course, when they first discovered the use of ayahuasca, they called the alkaloids telepathy.
I see.
Because apparently their members of a group could share the vision. But of course, if you belong to a group, you have a tribal totem.
Yes.
They all see the totem, and there's no telepathy. It's just that they are seeing the, the common.
Oh, interesting.
The common,
I have
image.
seen some paintings done that were inspired by this.
Yes, and of course the visions come with a lot of flashing of colors, like in peyote.
Yes.
Another plant from the Amazon you may want to see is piri piri.
Oh, I do want to see that. I've only read about it.
This is it. It's not looking at its best because we just replanted it, but it's like
it's a grass.
Let me show you one.
Oh, fascinating! It's
See,
got a bulb.
It produces bulbs, and this is what you buy in the markets.
Yes.
The ripe bulbs, and you ask the vendors, "What is this for?" And they usually smile, especially a male is asking. And they tell you, oh, it's a love charm. A love charm. But the reason it's a love charm is because there's a fungus inside, growing with the sedge. It's a sedge that triggers the production of progesterone. So it can be used as a contraceptive. Oh, well, that's an important plant. Absolutely, it's important. But the fascinating thing is how these people come to this knowledge. Yes. We call them illiterate, savages. Yes. They don't know chemistry, but they know more chemistry than anybody else I know. Yeah. What does the conventional medical world think about the properties of these plants? There are two parts to that world. The European tradition, which uses a lot of medicinal plants, and the non-European, who are not trained to understand the chemistry of plants. For example, kava, which is a great soothing plant. Yes. And, it's a ritual plant throughout the Polynesian islands. Cavalactons is the chemistry involved. It's the plant Prozac. Oh my goodness, and what part do we use? The roots. You have to dig the plant and macerate the roots and make an infusion, and then you drink it. No longer ritual. You can go to a kava bar in any island in the South Pacific and drink it and try it. Okay, sounds good. Yes, let me show you another plant that's related. So tell me, Luis, do you get medical doctors to come here and study the plants? Yes, we do. We teach a course every year on tropical medicine, and it includes not only shamanism and other healing techniques, but also the chemistry of the medicinal plants. And they can see why they could be used. So do they become converts once they've been here? The younger people are already halfway there because they are taking, kava, for example, or echinacea. Right. Okay? Yes. Who doesn't? That's right. But yes, I think we are making an impact. That's great. And we include a medical herbalist in the course. Yes. So they, it's a serious... Well-rounded. well-rounded, they get a full credit. Let me show you another plant that Costa Ricans use. It's a soothing herb. Also, you use it as a tea. We call it Juanilama.
Juanilama.
Juanilama. There are 2 species of it, and it's very fragrant. If you know, it could be used as a bath oil.
Kind of minty.
It's in the mint family. Yeah.
It's a lipia.
It's a lipia.
Lipia. I can see why it would make a great tea or an herbal bath.
Babies who are nervous, you can give them that in small dosages. However, right next to it are some that require more care. For example, this one in the back comes from West Africa, and it's called Strophanthus.
Yes.
Very poisonous.
So how is it taken?
It's used in the famous trial by ordeal ceremonies.
Oh, how does that go?
Where the chief administers justice and decides on the innocence of a person by providing both the defendant and the other person with a drink made of that plant.
Yes.
And he or she who dies is obviously the guilty one, right? I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I'm not going to taste that one.
However, this one in the same family is Rauwolfia serpentina.
Yes, and that's a sedative.
And it's a hypotensive drug.
Okay.
It's reserpine.
Reserpine.
Yeah, what it's used. And you know, these doctors we were chatting about, they know reserpine because they buy it or prescribe it in little bottles made by some chemical company in Germany or New Jersey, right? And they never imagine that these things come from plants.
Yes, great. Now, what about the drug companies? Surely they have a big stake in plant-based medicines.
Of course they do. You know, there are 100,000 natural products in storage to be researched. But take this lowly garden plant with a lovely flower, Turnera, called Damiana in the Caribbean. They make a liqueur, and it's reputed to be a potent aphrodisiac. However, it doesn't work in men.
No?
German chemistry groups are now commercializing these to treat sexual dysfunction in women with great success. So this is not folk tales, midwife stories. This is documented. So companies are getting more and more interested in plants. Look at this eggplant relative.
Oh, now that's a beautiful plant.
It's called pichichillo in Costa Rica, but you find it from Mexico all the way into the Amazon.
Yes.
One large company in the U.S. wants to extract terpenes that are excellent to treat acute cases of sinus.
Ah, so it'll help your sinuses.
It will help your sinuses greatly, I mean, and almost instantly.
And it's ornamental.
And it's very ornamental
now
as well.
Now this reminds me of a salvia.
It is a salvia. It's the soothsayer's salvia.
The soothsayer's salvia.
Yeah, Salvia divinorum.
I see.
From Oaxaca. It again contains terpenes that will induce a trance-like calmness.
Okay.
So your healer can delve into your psychological problems.
Yes.
And decide whether you have a psychosomatic problem or you indeed have a purely physical ailment.
An important separation.
An important separation. How do they get to that knowledge?
Luis, what about the native peoples here in Costa Rica? Do they still use plant-based remedies?
Very much, except for the younger people who are shying away from it. And of course, we're losing a lot of traditions.
Yes.
Even their native tongues are, in some cases, gone. As a matter of fact, I invited a colleague of mine who teaches in the tropical medicine and ethnobiology.
Yes.
They live about 4 hours away from here, a small village. And he's collecting on this very trail.
Oh, great.
Maybe he will have something interesting to show us.
Okay.
Because he's a healer. Hola, Alejandro.
Hola.
Hola, María.
Hola.
¿Cómo está?
Bien, bien, ¿ustedes?
Bien, bien, gracias. ¿Qué encontró?
Ando recogiendo remedio botánico natural para una enfermedad que tiene mucha complicación, pero con este mismo se puede combatir.
Esto es para fiebre.
Sí, fiebre.
Y
vómito también.
Vómito. This is for fever and to fight nausea.
Oh, good.
¿Y uno hace un baño o lo toma?
Lo maja. Lo maja y se cola bien jugo especial para tomar. Medio litro
You
de agua.
pound on it, mash it, and then take it with water, half a liter of water, and your symptoms disappear. ¿Y este?
Este para gripe. Para fiebre, que uno tiene fiebre y tiene dolor de cabeza, muy bueno este también.
For headaches and high fevers. ¿Y cómo se llama este en tu idioma?
Ngamua. Ngamua.
Namua.
Ngamua.
Namua. Namua is the name.
Yes.
Y este nombre es Cioro. Cioro.
Okay.
Cioro.
Cioro. Ay, este es lindo. What a pretty thing.
Very beautiful.
It's a burmeistera in the Campanulacea. ¿Cómo se llama
Este dialecto se llama Kudruma. Kudruma. Bluestein. Ese flor roja. Bluestein.
¿Y para qué?
Este para remedio es bueno para dolor de cuerpo. Uno lo hace y lo toma muy bueno.
For aching joints and muscular pains. ¿Y este cómo se llama?
Y se cocina con este. Este se llama Joroba Blue Conway.
Joroba Blue Conway, porque es blanco atrás.
Sí, entonces amarillo, ¿ves?
Ajá.
Flores amarillo. Mugeba.
Mugeba.
Mugeba. Ese para baños también, se cocina junto con este.
Para dolor de cabeza.
Sí.
Para dolor de cabeza.
Sí.
Mugeba and orchid.
Mugeba.
Oh,
Interesting.
my
It's an
goodness.
interesting use of orchids.
Yes.
Alejandro, ella tiene miedo de andar en avión
Something for the
en
airplane.
lugares altos. ¿Hay alguna hierba para eso? Para no marearse.
Yes.
Bueno, para bañarlo, es una que agarra un nervio.
Sí.
Así, aquí yo lo veo en plantación eso.
Sí.
Es especial para baño, para nervio y para tomar. Ese mismo hay
He
que
knows
tomar.
of something that you can
Sí.
take.
Good, well, let's go find it.
Claro.
We will.
Luis, thank you so much for letting us come and look over your shoulder to see the work you're doing with medicinal plants. And thank you, too, for introducing us to Alessandro and Maria. I hope to come back again.
Well, it was a pleasure having you, and please come back soon.
I will. There are many reasons to come to Costa Rica, a peaceful country with your choice of 2 oceans, extensive mountain ranges, great coffee, flowers, rainforests, and birds. Increasingly, visitors are coming here as eco-tourists to places like this, the Siripiki Lodge. No televisions, no air conditioning, no golf. But what they do have is a place to extensively study nature with low impact on the environment. We begin our day at La Selva Biological Preserve, located nearby, where scientists are attempting to unravel the mysteries of the rainforest. David, this seems like a good place for us to begin at the Welcome Center.
Yes, well, this is the point where everyone who comes to La Selva has to come. There's no more road from here. To get across the bridge there into 100,000 acres of forest, you have to come here. So the 4,000 students and a couple of hundred researchers every year end up at this point. They're welcomed, and then they head off into be taught tropical biology or do research.
Well, one of the plants that I just associate with Costa Rica is this heliconia. You know, we see it in these expensive arrangements, and here just growing everywhere, this beautiful treasure.
It's one of the most studied plants here if you're a biologist. We also think it's beautiful, but it's biologically very interesting as well.
And this tree reminds me a little bit of a tree from home, maybe a sycamore or a ficus.
It's much like a sycamore in that it has this smooth bark, and if you look up it, if you've looked at tropical trees, you'll say, well, it's so clean. Where are all the epiphytes? Where are all the vines? Well, they can't get up there because the bark, like this plate right here,
yes,
as the tree grows, this plate will fall off, and any vine or epiphyte that's attached to it will fall off with it, and so it stays clean. It's a very remarkable adaptation.
Yes. Well, trees are your specialty, I know that, and so I think going into the forest and seeing the trees is probably our next step.
All right, down the sidewalk, over the bridge, into the wilderness.
Great. Well, in the States, one of the things that we often associate with the Costa Rican rainforest, David, are suspension bridges.
Well, that's true. It's a country with a lot of rivers, and it's a very wet country, so you've got rivers all over the place, and the reserves tend to be in the remote, isolated places. So, yeah, frequently there is a suspension bridge. Not usually as elegant as this one, which is...
Well, I mean, is it safe?
So far, it's, yes, it's very safe.
Yeah, well, it's quite wobbly, isn't it?
It was made to go back and forth. The engineers said they could make it rigid, but it would cost double. So we said, let it swing.
And what's this river we're walking over?
This is the Puerto Viejo, and all the water you see there comes out of Braulio Carrillo National Park. So it's a protected watershed. It's one of the cleanest rivers in Costa Rica, major rivers.
And when it's high, how high is it?
Well, when it's high, it gets, take a look down here and look how far away that is, and think when it's high, it comes up to within about 10 feet of the bottom.
That's amazing. Well, what about wildlife? What's in there?
Lots of things, lots of birds, a good fish population. There's the occasional...
Crocodiles?
No crocs, but we do have caimans.
Oh, and what do they eat?
They eat mainly fish and turtles. They're too small to bother us, thank goodness.
Oh, so we really could swim.
Yep, we do frequently. This area is where all the teaching and research and living facilities for long-term researchers are located. This building here, for example, has both living facilities, actually my living facilities right there, and my office mate, who's also my wife, Deborah Clark, and myself. This is my office. Let me show you some of the work we've been doing with tropical forests as seen from space.
Ah, so you do a lot of your work on the computer.
Do a large amount of work on the computer. Actually, my field techs do more lab work than I do now. I do more field work. This is La Selva, as you would see it from the Iconos satellite, where each little element of the picture here is only 1 meter wide, which is a yard wide. That's incredible resolution.
Yes.
Here's the bridge. You can actually see the bridge we came in on.
Oh, over the river. Mm-hmm.
And these little red rectangles are places where we know the structure of the forest extremely well. In fact, we know every single tree in there. We've been there, we've measured them, we've identified them. We go back every year and remeasure them.
Ah, and what is your hope with your research? What are you looking for?
Ultimately, we like to know how tropical forests are responding to climate change. And to do that, we need to know how much stuff is in them, living things. At this place, we've done it the hard way. We've been out there, we've identified every tree, we've measured it, and we go back every year and see, is it there? Is it dead? Has it grown?
Monitoring the changes.
Monitoring the changes. That's very expensive. If we could do it from space, we could do the whole world much more quickly and much more cheaply. And that's what we're trying to do here. We've done it the right way, the hard way. Can we also do it with remote sensing?
Yes, much more efficient.
Much more efficient, much cheaper. This part of the station is where OTS has the laboratories. So if you were a visiting scientist and you wanted to know, are there pesticides in the river here, or are there interesting chemicals in the leaves, you would come to this laboratory, and just inside you would find all the chemical analysis equipment you need to find that out.
Well, this is very nice, but this could be anywhere. We could be at Harvard or the University of Florida or the University of Minnesota.
In terms of the lab, yes indeed, but in terms of being able to take your sample, walk off into a tropical rainforest, come back and put your sample in the gas chromatograph, this is a unique place on the planet.
Oh, because we're in the center of your research site.
We're right next to an old-growth tropical rainforest. If you want to go into here, we can show you some of the stuff that's going on in the laboratories.
So what might these researchers be looking at, David?
Well, this particular group here is looking at the way that tropical forests have been impacted by people who lived here in the past. It's been assumed that if you look at an old-growth forest, one that looks like it's been there forever, that it has been there forever like that. But in fact, what this group is finding is that if you go out and really look carefully at the soil, you can see that the soil itself was changed by the action of these pre-Columbian peoples.
Ah, something we hadn't really thought much about.
It's a brand new vision. It's cutting edge.
And here we have another great bridge and a beautiful river down there.
Only 150 yards from the lab, you're already out into the natural setting. And even more remarkable, if we continue walking here about 100 more yards, we'll come to a trail. We could turn right and walk for 6 days and never leave tropical rainforest in a protected setting. It's a remarkable place.
It is.
Notice how we're going down here. We're actually below the flood level. In a big flood, this will all be underwater.
Oh, wet soils.
Wet soils, and you can see they're all stirred up by the wild peccaries who come in here, the pigs that turn over the soil.
And this tree is awesome.
This is an amazing tree. If you stop here and get a look at it, and just notice like the begonias, the different kinds of plants growing on this tree.
Yes.
Look up, see the araceae, the aroids, just like you'd see in your dentist office, all the way up to the top. If you took an area here about the size of this tree and counted those, there would be more than 200 species. If you count all the different kinds just on a piece of forest this big, gives you an idea of how diverse tropical rainforest is.
Now this is quite different. We're in a clearing and we appear to be in an open area with a lot of light.
Well, this is an unusual place. This is a seasonal lake. In the wet season, we'd be walking in water up to our knees. Because it's a lake, it's open and you can see the side view of a tropical rainforest. That's a very hard thing to see. It's a very big forest and when you're in it, you can't see it from the side. But here, that's what a rainforest looks like from the side.
See all those layers.
See all the layering and all the complexity. So here we're climbing out of the lowlands and the flooded areas up into the highlands, and we start to see these really bright leaves on the ground.
Yes.
Look around and there's the tree. That's a pilon.
Magnificent tree.
Now when I came to Costa Rica 20 years ago, that was an important timber tree. You could see big truckloads of them rolling by. But today that's gone. You don't see this tree being cut commercially anymore. There just aren't any to cut.
Now, is there potential that you could increase its numbers?
For this species, yes. This species grows very well on poor soil. So with more research and figuring out how to grow it in the nursery, planning it out, and this is being done, yes, we could see large plantations of this someday.
If this land were not protected as a biological preserve, what do you think would have happened, David?
Well, it's easy to see in one sense. You look around our county, and anything that's not in a biological reserve is either a cattle pasture or a farm. So certainly, if this weren't a biological reserve, it would have been converted to another land use. Now, when that happens, you lose 99.9% of the plants and animals at a given forest, most of them before you've had a chance to put a name on them.
So they're not going to come back?
They will not come back in any practical sense. On the other hand, wherever you have a national park or biological reserve, you save those elements for the future. You've got all the words in your book of life, and you can go there and read them as long as they stay there. Now, the bigger question, the bigger issue here is, are those words going to stay in your book? And that's where we get to global climate change.
Yes.
It's not at all sure we're going to have everything there in 10 or 15 years. In fact, it seems rather dubious. The world is heating up. All the reputable scientists of the world who study this agree. It's a hotter planet. This forest is very likely going to start losing parts of its biological matrix, and that will happen all over the tropical world. The long-term effects of that, nobody knows. This is an active area to look at, but it is worrisome on a global level. And that's something that all of us who drive our cars and live our Western lifestyles have a hand in.
Well, David, thank you for an unforgettable tour. And from now on, when I get in my car or turn on a light switch, I'm going to think about your message.
Well, all of us are connected to the tropical rainforest, and I'm glad to have had a chance to talk about why. So why don't we go have some lunch?
That sounds great. Well, I couldn't get enough of the rainforest and these suspension bridges earlier at La Selva, and so I came here to Tirambina, owned and operated by a nonprofit out of Milwaukee. And it works in partnership with the Centro Neotropica Serapiki, a project of the Landscape Foundation of Belgium. This particular bridge is pretty amazing because it takes us right through the canopy of the trees in the rainforest. And so if we stand still, in about 15 minutes, things will begin to come to life. And as we walked out here last night, we were able to watch the howler monkeys playing in the trees. It is indeed a magical place. One of the things that happens when you're in this environment is that you become acutely aware of the ecology surrounding you. In fact, the place where we're staying is a center for ecotourism, where there's a great deal of emphasis placed on the fact that we leave no trace that we've ever been here. We've crossed the bridge and now we're in a floodplain of the river, an area where there are palms growing. These are the palms used to harvest hearts of palm, a vegetable that you see a great deal in local cuisine as well as Epicurean restaurants around the world. Well, if it costs a lot, it's no wonder, and it's well worth it, because take a look at the deadly spines on this stem. And the way it's harvested by hand is they cut it off at the base and they strip off many, many layers to get to the inner core, the heart of palm. Well, the good news is that a new palm will grow up right beside it. And the really good news is that tonight we're going to have hearts of palm for dinner. One of the things that the center is most proud of is its wastewater treatment plant. Wastewater comes from the lodges up above down into this area which looks like a large bed planted with cane set in volcanic rock. Think of it as a large tank. Gravity moves it into a second tank planted with cane, and then the water ends up moving through this last bed, which is planted with swamp plants like the peace lily I see here, and tropical gingers, and even some arrowroot. By the time the water has moved through this last bed, it is said to be 90% free of impurities. Let's take a look. There. And at this point, the water is ready to be released to the swamp below. Would that other resorts follow this example. One of the neat exhibits they have here at the center is a recreated pre-Columbian village located under this existing orange grove. This exhibit attempts to show how the native peoples lived hundreds of years ago. Although they didn't actually drive wheeled vehicles that we know of, they built roads like this one. And they raised the roads up so that they wouldn't have to walk in the surrounding mud during the rainy season. They're growing corn here since that was their major crop. The director and designer is Jean-Pierre Canacart. Hello, Jean-Pierre.
Hello, Holly. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine, fine. Do you enjoy your stay here?
So much, yes.
Great.
Now, I'd like to know about the area that we're standing in.
Yeah, this is the central place of a village. This was the most important place, of course. And this was the place where the rituals and ceremonies took place. Actually, the importance of the place is emphasized by indigenous people by these statues. Like you see over there, you have the warrior.
Yes.
And this is, and in his left hand, he has the chopped head of his enemy.
His great pride.
Well, and then, of course, on the other side, for example, we have this female statue, which is, of course, a symbol of fertility, you know. Okay. Very important is that at this central place, the most important house of the village is the house of the cacique, the house of the chief of tribe, you see. And this house, this is made, like reconstructed scientifically like it was 600 years ago, without any use of cement or nails or concrete or whatever. We're using the same materials like the indigenous people have been using for ages and ages, you see.
Oh, that's lovely.
Okay, and here inside we have the reconstruction of how a house would have been looked like. This is the kitchen.
I see.
This is the fire. And these people, they had the same problems like we have. How can we conserve our food?
Right.
And they had this platform with the salt, and they put the meat here. And then the fumes of the fire keeps away the insects.
I see.
And the heat of the fire can dry the salt, you know. So the people were sitting here with the whole family and having their meals over here right now. Okay, they were sleeping there in this kind of bed or in a hammock.
Okay.
Yeah? But at night it can be very cold, and so they had a second fire to keep the heat or to keep warm at night, you know.
Yes.
And they made also, of course, they were hunters, and they were making their bows and arrows like this bow, which is made of the wood of heart of palm.
Yes.
And this arrows, as you see,
Very
the top,
sharp.
very sharp, and the top is made of the same wood, this heart of palm, and then the stick is made of a cane.
Okay.
Right? Okay, and very important in the construction, they are using a lot of vines, like these vines, and you can see up there or whatever, they use these vines to make the connections, of the cane, or to make the connections of the woods.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I know that you found some burial sites here early on that inspired this. I would very much like to see those.
Okay, let's go and see them. It's very fascinating. Right here, Holly, we are on the burial site, which has been discovered in October '99. And scientists believe that approximately 60 to 70 tombs are right on this site. Here you see a first section of 6 tombs, which has been scientifically excavated.
Okay, so what you've done is actually dig down a foot or two to uncover the stone tombs.
That's right, that's right. And we discovered, and there's another section of 6 tombs a little bit further on. And in the first 2 sections, 12 tombs in total, we excavated about 108 artifacts in ceramics and stonework.
And what will you do with those?
All of the things which comes out of the tombs will be exhibited in the museum that right now we are constructing.
I see. Well, I really want to thank you and your colleagues for all that you've done to save the past and all that you're doing to save the future.
Okay, thank you very much. I thank you for your visit.
You're welcome. We have seen a lot today, and when you're ready for it, lodging here is in one of these thatched roof huts. And I will tell you one thing, I am ready for it.